Greetings, Planeswalkers. Theorix 6 back with more Magic the Gathering Arena. Go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. Or don't. I'm not your damn mother. Now today, we're continuing our Ravnica Allegiance budget guild decks with this Riot. Anyway, people enjoyed when I did that before, so I'm just going to keep doing that for the rest of them. It's fun to think of dumb voices to do. That said, today we are doing the Riot mechanic. Now, very similar to the Afterlife mechanic, a lot of Riot's power does appear to come in with some of the more, let's say, exceptional rarity cards. Right? I mean, Skargan Hellkite, quite good. We have the Fight Man, quite good. Gruul Spellbreaker, probably the best of those. So, those things will essentially need to be supplemented while we wait and do the budget version before we end up doing the full version. That said, I did get a comment that said I should probably look into using not just the lands from the new player experience decks, but some of the other rares and mythics. So I went ahead and looked at the red-green new player deck and found that Etali and Carnage Tyrant were both in those decks, which is very helpful because one of the things that this deck had a problem with was getting a really large creature in the late game, because this is a relatively aggressive deck, but it's an aggressive mid-range deck, right? We don't have very many 1-drops. Our 2-drops are relatively few, only 8. So it's not a full forward, I'm going to try to kill you as soon as possible, but it's more of an aggressive mid-range deck. So I figured, let's throw in some Carnage Tyrant. Carnage Tyrant is a really nice card against control, and Etali is fantastic with our Rhythm of the Wild, which is essentially what this deck is built around. So we are running 4 Llanowar Elves because we would love to be able to curve directly into a turn 2 Rhythm of the Wild. That's kind of the main reason we're playing Llanowar Elves. We're also playing 2 Shocks because there's a lot of red deck wins running around, and we need to kill a lot of things in the deck, so we're running Shock. We're running 4 Merfolk Branchwalker. I was really trying to figure out if I wanted to include Branchwalkers, but Branchwalkers are cards that are played in a variety of decks right now, so I figure it's totally fine. I don't like the fact that it's an explore creature, it has essentially a different mechanic, but I decided it's fine. It works with Riot really well, with Rhythm of the Wild really well, I should say, because you can give it haste and you still have a decent-ish chance of it being a 3-2, which is always nice. Zhur-Taa Goblin is just like the bread and butter uncommon Riot card. It's a 2-mana 2-2 with Riot. Either you can attack with haste, or you can just make it a 3-3. Totally reasonable either way. 3 Lightning Strikes because, as I said, things need to die, but also it can serve as a bit of reach for us in the deck. Same thing as Shock. District Guide, you might be thinking, why are we running this? Well, one, it's to make sure our mana base is okay, so we can get out some of our guild gates and play them out, or it's just to not ramp, but guarantee we're going to be able to get to 4 and then 6 mana. Additionally, with Rhythm of the Wild, it's a lot less bad to top deck later in the game, because a 3-mana 3-3 that can, thin your deck out by a little is a lot less bad than a 3-mana 2-2. Thrashing Brontodon, a lot of artifacts and enchantments running around, specifically enchantments. I don't want to lose 2 enchantments. We are running Sunder Shaman, which is very helpful, but Brontodon is just a really nice body against red deck wins. And that is kind of like the main competitor, is that red deck wins can very easily just go under us before we can really establish a board position, and if they do that, then we're kind of screwed. Rhythm of the Wild is I sounded like my voice cracked there. Rhythm of the Wild is kind of like the reason we're playing this deck. Well, whatever. The best part about this card isn't necessarily that all of your non-token creatures get Riot. It's the fact that your creature spells can't be countered. So if you're able to land this against a heavy counterspell-based control deck, you can just jam all of your creatures. I mean, you have to worry about board wipes, but you don't have to care about the counterspells, and that's always nice. The fact that it doubles up on your Riots so that you can have, your cake and eat it too. So Zhur-Taa Goblin will be a 3-3 with haste, or a 4-4 if you really need it. It just makes all of your creatures that much better, and as I said before, it means you can cast and immediately attack with Etali or Carnage Tyrant, which is just the pièce de résistance. We are running 4 Frenzied Arynx, I think is what it's called. It's either a 4-mana 3-3 with trample with haste, or a 4-mana 4-4 with trample. The reason I really enjoy this over specifically the Sunder Shaman is the fact that if we do flood out, we are going to be able to pump this for a bit, and the fact that it has trample is very helpful for finishing out in the late game. And then of course we do have Sunder Shaman. It's a 5/5 for 4 that can't be double blocked. and it can destroy artifacts and enchantments. The number of times this has destroyed a Wilderness Reclamation after I've gone... I've had a game against Bant Nexus that went Llanowar Elves, Rhythm of the Wild, Sunder Shaman, and I blew up their Wilderness Reclamation. They went first. It was quite good. And then they played a Search for Escant, and I blew that up. And they played another one, and I blew that up. And it was very helpful. At that point, they were dead. But yeah, I really enjoy the second ability on Sunder Shaman. But the fact that it doesn't have Trample, it does have like a pseudo protection effect in its first ability. But other than that, it's just kind of a dumb beater. I talked about those already. I wanted to do one of each of the guild gates because I like them both. And then, of course, Rootbound Crag is also in the red-green new player experience deck, so you guys should all have one of these. And then I'll talk really briefly about some of the other cards that I didn't include. Lava Coil is very helpful against a smattering of decks, but I want it to be a little bit more aggressive with our removal spells so that Lightning Strike and Shock can still both go to the Dome if we need to. Collision Colossus, I was running this at one point because Collision... you know, it kills so many things. There are so many flyers running around, and Colossus is a nice way to get that reach through, but I ended up deciding to try and just make sure I have shocks for those super early game aggressive decks. Burning Tree Vandal, it's just, if it was a 2-2, I think it'd be a little bit better. The loot effect was fine when I ended up getting it, but it was just too small of a body. It was too easily killed by other cards. Climber Shaman essentially had kind of the same problem. You are able to make it so one creature can't block, but either your opponent is going to have a number of creatures, or, like, even if they don't, this is a relatively small card to be attacking with anyway, so I just found that this card was too small for what I wanted it to do. Gorklan Wrecker is too small. Gruul Beastmaster, I really wanted this card to work out, but having it only target one other creature wasn't great. The fact that it's a 4-mana 2-2, already not great if you wanted to give it haste and attack immediately. And a 4-mana 3-3 just still isn't protected enough, right? Our 4-mana cards are either 4/4s or 3/3s with haste, right? That have extra abilities tacked on, or is a 5/5, right? So I just found that, once again, this card, a little too small. Rampaging Rendhorn is actually not too small, it doesn't do anything else. Wrecking Beast, again, not necessarily too small, but if we're having these at our high end, we don't really need this. So, that is the description of that deck. Let's go ahead and play some games. Try to be nice and hasty with this one. Haha, hasty. Yeah, I don't love this build with the deck. I think it benefits so much from the rares, specifically Gruul Spellbreaker, yeah, because it gives you hexproof, which means you don't have to worry about Settle the Wreckage. And I think that's like the main important part, is the fact that since you get hexproof, you no longer have to care about, specifically Settle the Wreckage. Your burn opponents can't target like your face during your turn, so they have to kind of play things sorcerer speed. So that's very nice. Kind of a weak hand in that we don't have any turn 1 interaction against our opponent who's going first, but otherwise it's decent. You know, we do have turn 2 interaction. We have Rhythm of the Wild into Arynx, so I think this is fine. It was helpful that they did mulligan. Put on top, black. Alright, we don't know exactly what it is yet. We'll go ahead and play the Guildgate since we have nothing else to do, and that guaranteed comes in tapped. Alright, so it looks to be a blue-black deck. Hopefully, they don't Thought Erasure us. Thought Erasure on Rhythm of the Wild is really strong. Oh, thank goodness. I was really scared. I guess they could still play, like, Swamp into Duress. It is a heavy discard deck, looks like. Don't you dare Duress. Alright, thank you. I could Lightning Strike them here, but I would rather... Like, this looks like a deck that's running Thief of Sanity, so I'd rather keep it for Thief. And now we can Rootbound Crag into Rhythm of the Wild. They could, like, bounce it, but at this point, we should be able to have all of our creatures not be able to be countered, which is very helpful. So probably just Arynx, an attack for 4. Who doesn't like a good old 4-mana 4/4 haster? For what it's worth, can still die to a cast down. See if my opponent has it. Could also have... Alright, cool. They could have also just Moment of Craving to lessen the damage. Fantastic! I assume that was mostly the fact that my opponent was probably looking for another blue. But it also, like, if you can resolve a Rhythm of the Wild, it makes it very difficult for counterspell decks to do anything. We don't know necessarily if that was a counterspell deck. We do know they had a bunch of Surveil, so I assume at the very least they were running Sinister Sabotage. Why do you hate me? No, I think I can't keep this. I'll keep this. I'll keep that. And Llanowar Elves into Llanowar Elves Branchwalker. Looks like potentially mono red. But, I mean, we're going to be dumping our hand out pretty quickly. Could shock our elf. Yep. Alright, that's fine. The question is, do we Branchwalker or elf? I guess it depends on what they play. They play nothing interesting. I think I'd rather play a little slower. Probably should have played the mountain instead of being a dum-dum. Yeah, I said dum-dum. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like they're trying to control my board. So I think I'm fine with that. We're going to library that. They're playing Naya Midrange. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I think I'm just going to get a mountain here. I could grab a Guildgate, but next turn we're probably playing the Arynx. Naya Midrange, you say? Shall I, you say? It seems like a really hard deck to beat. Yeah, I think I'm just going to play the Arynx. And we kind of need to, like, get a Etali. This deck definitely has a problem with card advantage. Really? Well, they're obviously going to cast something that can block the Arynx. Or maybe they're trying to bait me into blocking the Knight of Autumn? I'll go down to 9. We're Kindling Phoenix. That is unfortunate. Well, Tali's nice to see, and I can cast it next turn. But I'm probably going to die. Ugh. Yeah, that's the weakest part about Etali, is you really need to be able to attack immediately with it. Yeah, kind of unfortunate. We're not dead, we're at 2. I could double block. I mean, I actually don't think even if... So, I mean, we go to 2, we have nothing in a deck that can deal with this, so we're just going to concede. Try and go on to a different game. Another card that is in amongst the new player experience decks is, I think, a single Jadelight Ranger in the blue-green deck. That's another card that does give you card selection, so you could totally put that in there. I didn't want to have too many one-ofs in the deck, because I think something that's very important is making sure that your deck has consistency. And throwing in too many one-ofs from rares across the new player experience decks, I think would potentially hurt the consistency too much. This is a great hand if you're going first. Alright. Oh, I'm playing the wrong elves! I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm not going to lie. I meant to change those. Oops. Drew the cow? Alright. I would be I'm very tempted to block that. But I'm not going to. Because it's better to get on my rhythm. If I top deck a red source, I can double Zhur-Taa Goblin and have some nice 4/4s for 2. I assume my opponent's going to play like a Steel Leaf Champion here. Nope, just Rapid Bite to kill. That's fine, I suppose. I think I'm going to be greedy and just play another Rhythm of the Wild. Yeah, I like the greed. Steel Leaf? Sure, sure. I'm going to have 2/2s that are bigger than that. This is going to be a 5/5. Has 3 instances of Riot. Yes, there we go. 2 5/5s, don't mind if I do. I guess I could have played this and it would have been a 6/6, but these are more blockers. Who doesn't love good 5/5s? Unfortunately, of course, my opponent could Rapid Bite me, which would be rude if they had 2 of their bites in the top 10, top 11 cards. They could, let's see, 6, 7, 8. This is enough to play Ghalta, yep. Sure, sure, Ghalta is strong. Attack me, do it, I dare you. Play an Arynx. Cool, cool. One more land, and we can play Etali with haste. Let's see. Yeah, we're just going to counter it up. Unfortunately, we can't really attack into Ghalta. Ay. The mono green deck still seems to be good, and looks like they're fighting. Yep. Of course, they had 2 of their Rabid Bites and a Ghalta. I mean, we kind of have to just take 12 here. Yeah, we kind of just have to take 12 and hope that we get a land to play Etali and make them large. I don't even think we can attack. I mean, we could. I mean, we have to believe in the heart of the cards. So this could be an 8/8, but we would still die, I believe. Let's see. We can block. Yeah, we'd still die just because of the number of creatures. So we actually have to get this haste. We attack here. I mean, these can just be chumped by these. Like, we have to hit, like, on both of these in order to even maybe survive. Like, Ghalta would obviously be the best thing to get here. Yeah, I don't know. We're kind of at the whims. And, of course, we get a nice Llanowar Elf. Alright, so that's lethal. Unless my opponent blocks, like, poorly. They really should just let this through. Yeah. Ah, darn. Yeah, this deck definitely feels like it needs the rares and mythics, and we will be bringing those. We will be bringing those back as soon as I end up doing the. That was incorrect. As soon as I end up doing the updated version. There we go. You have to use what little bling Wizards gives us. This is it's an okay hand. Once again, kind of unfortunate we're going second. But we could... Oh, we don't have red! I didn't notice that. Well, I mean, we can Llanowar Elves into District Guide. I don't think we can justify mulliganing this hand. Opponent seems to be on white-black. Probably going to be difficult for this deck. Abzan. Respectable. You're just playing Explorer? Oh, never mind. Looks like they're playing Aristocrats. Okay, so I can Llanowar Elf, Zhur-Taa Goblin, which I don't hate. Of course, we play this as a 3/3, so I can start attacking. Journey. Well, I'm going to Brontodon that. I'm going to hold up a shock as well. I'm just going to do this now. I thought about, like, attacking first and, like, seeing if they decided to block, but I'm just going to do it now. Start pressuring their life total. Hold up the shock, just in case they play something I don't like. Like that. I don't need them to have 2 things, so we're just going to go and shock this. Sure. It's very possible my opponent was missing some mana, so they have access to that now. Yeah, I mean, based on what they were doing with their things, it was very likely they were missing mana. I'm going to go in District Guide, kind of flooding out. I'm going to get a Guildgate, just so we don't have to draw one later. Play out the Guildgate. Attack here. We don't want to attack with our elves, because if we top deck like a Carnage Tyrant, then we can cast it next turn. I guess even if we double attacked and they blocked one, we could still cast it, but... So is this Teysa, or is this... Oh, it's Chupacabra. Gonna come my Goblin. Incredibly rude. Darn. Now I don't have any pressure. My opponent has a way to return things back from the grave. Hey, look, it's pressure. Under pressure. Pushing down on me. Pushing down on me. No man has fault. Find Broker, getting back the journey, I presume. Wow. This is like... It's like barely a new deck. We've seen one new card. This one. And we're flooding out pretty hard. The only real way I can see us winning at this point is Etali into, like, the most ridiculous value we have. Yes. Not great.
Step aside or be crushed. Everyone is expendable.
So now my opponent can use Journey and immediately sacrifice it with Vraska. Never mind. Get Shrek'd on. Best top deck of all time. I mean, literally just suicide, right? Like, this gets killed by here, this gets killed here, this gets killed here. I get 1 damage through, and now I have a crap board. Yep, we have to run it on first. The reason that's okay is because, like, it forces our hand. You know what? This game's over. This game was over the second we drew, like, the 1000th land. Luckily, with aggressive style decks, the games are quick, and I can play several of them. Alright, Mr. Everett, I assume you're a teacher. Sure, we're going first. We have Llanowar Elf into Guide, which can give us the red sources we need. But mainly we're going first. They really should add the guild lands into the game as gem-only cosmetics. I think it'd be relatively easy. All you have to do is, like, buy... Like, you essentially would buy per guild, or you could buy, like, a pack with all of the guilds, and then you just have those lands, right? So you can just use them as many as you need. I'm going to get a red source. There's so many ways Wizards can monetize cosmetics. So I'll play the Arynx and attack. Because against what I presume to be Drakes, I need to put on the Dabblage. Wow, they decided to block. They must have a not... They either have a really great hand or a really bad hand if they blocked. Okay, that also makes sense, for what it's worth. That said, it's going to die. Right? It's better to kill that and attack, I think. Guarantees I don't have to deal with this nonsense. Crackling Drake? Yep, yep. How much does this cost? 6? So if I top deck a green source, which I didn't, then I could have theoretically attacked well. Brontodon and Zhur-Taa Goblin, I suppose. Last game we drew too many lands. This game, not enough. Of course, if you have access to them, definitely craft the Stomping Grounds and Rootbound Crags. Those cards will... The thing about rare lands, it does feel bad to, like, essentially have to craft them, but they work whenever, right? Essentially just any deck that plays those colors, you have the ability to use those cards, right? So they might feel bad to craft like lands, but they're good, right? It's something that is necessary for the sweet value. Opponent, another Drake. Luckily they can't double block to kill any of my creatures, so I can get in for free here with these three. I assume they're just gonna block two of them once, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, double blocking does nothing. Yeah. Let's go ahead and do this. Unfortunately, next turn double blocking will likely do something. Get another counter. Another Drake. Alright. Darn. So they can make these threes. Nope. Just twos. Interesting. Could have made them threes. So they can double block at this point. But if they double block one of them, and then just block another, then they do take 6 damage. Or they could just one block each. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I think we still just need to put pressure on them, and hope for the best. Choosing not to go the double block route, I think that's reasonable. Now the problem is, I assume at this point my opponent is going to be able to do whatever they need. We just weren't able to pressure them enough because of our lack of essentially red mana, I guess. Like, even if we had one more land, it would have had to have been a red source. But yeah, now they Crackling Drake. That's 2 spells. Am I just gonna die out of nowhere? A 3rd spell. Shock on that. I don't actually think that matters. 5, 10, 15 plus 6. Yep, I am dead. Oh no, that's 18 plus 9. Well, dang. Let's play one more game. Do remember, I realized... So, I have been getting a few comments on the other 2 budget videos. Why couldn't I be going first? This is such a good hand if I go first. That were offering up card inclusions that were rares and mythics. These are the budget versions. My Llanowar Elf's gonna die. Alright, hopefully my opponent is greedy and doesn't kill my Llanowar Elf. But yes, these are the budget versions. I plan on doing versions of all of the guild mechanics that include rares and mythics. I hate that my opponent's smart. So they play on 2, Sovereign Spite. Okay, so this is just the Rakdos Burn deck. Go ahead and play the Branchwalker out at least. Gives us something to do, something to block with if need be, and something to attack with. Probably still going to Rhythm of the Wild. Sword Point. Okay, interesting. I will take 3 damage from this. This is slow, so I think I'm fine declining that one. And I will take 3 damage from this. Rhythm of the Wild might just be too slow. Yeah, honestly, I think it's correct to just play Disregard and try and race them. Which sounds ridiculous since I'm at 10. But I think it's the correct thing to do. Is just attack them every turn. Next turn, Frenzied Arynx. Hasted. Yeah, so this is what I expected. Decline. Because this exiles. So this is only... Yeah, I think I'd take this action and decline that one. So they could play this and kill this. But I think I'm fine with that transaction. Play out the Rootbound Crag. Play out Arynx. Haste. Unfortunately, I think I have to not attack with District Guide. Because I need to be able to block a haste creature so that they don't activate Spectacle. Yeah. Unfortunately, the race goes to the deck that is more suited to racing. Yeah, this game would have been, I think, significantly different if we had gone first. The chances that I'm dead are essentially 100%. Well, I'll technically BM. Didn't have to show me the shock. I knew I was dead. Ripperonis. Store. Packs. Let's get some packs for our pain. I do think Riot is another one of those guilds that is kind of loaded in the rares and mythics with some of the stronger cards. Ooh, this is a card that I plan on trying in the updated Spectacle version. Upgraded, I should say. Yeah, alright. Cool, cool. Well, I would like to thank my lovely patrons for their continued support. I'm gonna have to start figuring out how to organize this. I think I might have to shove some names in front of Bolas's face. I'm getting a lot of support, and I really appreciate that, especially from Salamander Draga. If you would like to join them, oh gosh, excuse me, in supporting the channel, you'll find links to that down in the description below. The reason I sneezed and didn't mute it is because very few people actually stay this long. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go and tap that like button, add a subscription to your Manapul, and cast a comment in the comment section down below. And until next time, oh, will be one.